initial stages what were the challenges and how did you manage?
எந்திரிச்சு இவங்களை குளிப்பாட்டி வெளியில அனுப்பு, அவனை குளிப்பாட்டி வெளியில அனுப்பு, ஸ்கூல்ல வந்து பஸ்ல ஏறி போய் விடு, நான் பாத்துக்கிற மாதிரி வேற யாரும் பாத்துக்க முடியாதுன்னு நினைச்சோம்னா we have to only parent.
So நம்ம வந்து குழந்தைய விட்டுட்டு போறதுக்கு ரெடியா இருந்தா we can do it ன்னு சொல்றீங்க.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் போகும்போது ஐயோ நான் போறேனே, என் குழந்தை என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு இருந்தது. நம்ம வேணுங்கும் போது கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்கலாம், வேணுங்கும் போது குழந்தை பெற்றுக்கலாங்கிறது இட் மே நாட் பி பிசிக்கலி பாசிபிள் ஆல்வேஸ்ங்கிறது.
Initially a new mother, what would be your advice?
இங்க ஒரு டாக்டருக்கு இவ்வளோ ஃபாலோயிங் இருந்தா அவங்க பெஸ்ட் டாக்டர்னு தயவு செய்து நினைச்சிடாதீங்க, ஈவன் ஆன் சோஷியல் மீடியா.
Hi, hello, welcome to Mom Boss series. இன்னைக்கு நம்மளோட ஸ்டுடியோல ரொம்ப ஸ்பெஷலான கெஸ்ட் இருக்காங்க who definitely doesn't need any introduction. பட் அவங்களோட இன்ஸ்டாகிராமில் நம்ம நிறைய வந்து அவங்களோட எக்ஸ்பர்டைஸ் பற்றி நிறைய பார்த்துருப்போம். பட் இன்னைக்கு நம்ம கொஞ்சம் வித்தியாசமாக சூப்பராக அழகாக அவங்களோட பர்சனல் லைஃப் அவங்க எப்படி மேனேஜ் பண்ணுறாங்க, ஒரு ஆண்டர்ப்ரூனராக அண்ட் ஒரு மாம்ப்ரூனராக அவங்க எப்படி அவங்க லைஃப்பை பேலன்ஸ் பண்ணுறாங்க, இதெல்லாம் தான் நம்ம பார்க்க போகிறோம். ரொம்ப இன்ட்ரெஸ்டிங்காக இருக்க போகுது. அண்ட் welcoming Dr. Priya Kalyani to our studio. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much for the invite, Sharada. And first and foremost, I would say I'm so dressed up only because I'm going for a reception after this.
You look pretty.
Thank you.
Yeah. So a very first question, because as I said, எல்லாருமே உங்களை வந்து டாக்டராக பார்த்துருக்காங்க of course, but running a hospital is not just being a doctor, it's being the captain of the ship. Of course you have also wear an entrepreneur title, right, and the hat. எப்படி அதை வந்து டக்குன்னு ஷிஃப்ட் பண்ணுறீங்க? how is that?
See, ஒரு obstetrician, I think we are very tuned to this shift of our emotions, I will say, because it comes with the profession. Because what you see in front of you as a doctor, behind that facade, a lot of things go on. For example, even in my profession, when I am seeing a patient, அந்த பேஷண்ட் கிட்ட அப்பதான் அவங்க அவ்வளோ அழுதுருப்பாங்க, மிஸ்கேரேஜ் ஆயிருக்கும், ஹார்ட் பீட் ஸ்டாப்ட், வாட் எவர். ஐ ஹாவ் டு டீல் வித் தோஸ் எமோஷன்ஸ், கன்சோல் தெம். The next minute when they go out and the next patient comes in with a positive pregnancy test, you have to greet them with a happy smile. So it's this constant going between a happy face, a sad face. It's like it is difficult, but we have sort of got used to that. And how do I don't manage the whole hospital on my own because I have a very busy clinical practice and it is simply not possible. So எங்க husband வந்து administration பார்த்துக்கிறாங்க முக்காவாசி, because he's cut down on his clinical practice side, so that helps hugely. I don't handle the financial aspects எல்லாம், I have left it to him. Minor things like administration, nursing problems, housekeeping problems, canteen la saapadu seriyalla. So I think WhatsApp is a life savior. So that's what we have, housekeeping groups, and then either sheet change pannala illati vandittu all the complaints which come in, all that is on the group. So literally when I'm traveling back and forth between places is when I find time to keep seeing that adhe hospital la na ukandirnalo anga irkumbodhu patient dhaan paapen, pogumbodhu varumbodhu this is what I try and address. So it's a little crazy, but yes, that's what comes with the it comes with the job, I think.
Okay, so choices irukliya, so neenga vande you could have also chosen to be practicing in a different hospital, but you chose entrepreneurship ilya. So what made you choose that journey?
I really don't know. I think it is based on my parents also. எங்க அப்பா அம்மா ரெண்டு பேருமே டாக்டர்ஸ் வந்துட்டு they have been practicing in that area since nearly 45 years. So right from the scratch, அப்பெல்லாம் அவங்களுக்கு எந்த ஒரு ஸ்டார்ட்டும் கிடையாது, very self made both of them. So they started from scratch, from a very normal middle class on the background upbringing. That's what I had all through my childhood. But even at that time when the time it was a little bit of a risk for them to really start on their own. That's what they did, and it has a lot of disadvantages. Like this, you are taking on a little too much, but it comes with a lot of advantages also. So நம்ம என்ன பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறோமோ நம்மளால பண்ண முடியும். For example, you don't have to go and ask someone, you don't have targets to meet, அந்த ஒரு ப்ரெஷர் எதுவுமே கிடையாது. ஸோ யூ ஆர் யோர் ஓன் வந்துட்டு பாஸ்ங்கிறது இட் கிவ்ஸ் அ டிஃப்ரெண்ட் சார்ட் ஆஃப் ஃப்ரீடம் ஐ திங்க். அண்ட் ஆல்சோ ஃப்ரீடம் நாட் ஒன்லி இன் த சென்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஒர்க் பட் ஆல்சோ வாட் யூ வாண்ட் டு டூ. what systems you want. This is the way I want to see my patients. Time spend பண்றது எல்லாமே வந்துட்டு ஒருத்தருக்கு கம்மியா இருக்காங்களா, if they financially வந்து poor sectorல இருந்து வராங்களா, அவங்களுக்கு we can just reduce the cost. It is our decision இல்லையா. That freedom I really need, and that is something I can't work in any other setup. Maybe I have grown up seeing that sort of freedom அவங்களுக்கு இருந்தது, but that's how first இருந்தே my mind was tuned to that, not going and working. Of course I went and worked in a few places. I wanted the experience and things like that, but it was always in my mind, there was no plan B. I always wanted to do it this way.
Beautiful. So juggling between multiple things, yeah. So how is your routine like? ஒரு நாள் காலையில இருந்து நைட் வரைக்கும் what is your routine?
I would say it's pretty crazy. So இப்பெல்லாம் அதுதான் நான் சொல்றேன். I am at a stage where I am seriously thinking when I'm taking on a little too much and I need to start cutting back, because literally I was just telling காலையில bag pack பண்ணிட்டு ஓடுனா night is when I come. I'm using my house literally as a guest house, and now I would like to spend some time at home too அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி. Yes, my children are all grown up. They don't need me as much around the house, so they are at that stage where they do their own thing and they have their own agenda and classes and so on and so forth. But still காலையில முன்னாடில lunch மட்டும் தான் I used to pack and go. Now I was saying last week full I've been eating காலையில breakfast, lunch, dinner gets packed and then comes directly to the clinic. So it's been sort of very hectic, I would say. So I'm at the stage where I'm thinking of cutting back. My morning usually I try and start my day with my exercise, because once I leave the house my time is not mine, and then I don't know when I will get back. I try to get that out of the beginning of the day. That is something which is very important to me. So unless அன்னைக்கு night calls இருந்தது, நான் ஒழுங்கா நைட்டு தூங்கல, my sleep is a big priority. So again அது மாதிரி இல்லைன்னா I try and get up and finish my exercise. I don't have household work. That's a big thing, Ilya. So again, I have my cook who will have a samachu kodutruvaru, and then I have a driver, and I have household help who does the household work. We live in a joint family also, so that support system is considerable for me to focus only on my work. So that gives a huge freedom, because I know women who are trying to do both, and I'm sure that is going to be definitely more difficult, and no question about it. So I'm blessed to have help at home, I will say. So once I'm done, and then I leave to the hospital, and then I'm at the hospital and then I get home at the end of the day. இதுக்கு நடுவுல எங்கேயாவது ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸை மீட் பண்ணோம், இல்லாட்டி I have functions to attend, then it's better I take off, because again otherwise I don't have time to do anything. The social media has been something, I think it's like exploring my creative side, and I like writing, I like reading, I like obviously educating. So all these things is what I put into my platform, I would say, and it is just done as something out of passion. And I think because it's not boring and it is something shows me a different side of me is what I'm doing. But adum apdidan, I take a day off, I shoot my content mostly, and then I'm done for 2 to 3 weeks. So at least then we just keep edit panni post panniduvanga.
Okay, so on the social media part we will come back again, because I have more to ask on that.
Okay.
But adukku munnadi you said right now your kids are grown up and they don't demand your time. But when you actually stepped into their career, okay, I think your first son would have been like more of a toddler. And initial stages la, what were the challenges and how did you manage? Because ippo of course delegation irukku, support system.
Definitely.
But initially it's a long journey. இந்த லெவலுக்கு வந்திருக்கீங்கன்னா it is not எடுத்த உடனே பண்ணது கிடையாது. So அந்த initial stage-ஓட struggles and இந்த journey பத்தி கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல முடியுமா?
That's a good question, because people see you now, they see you settled, and they think that it is all too easy internet. They don't know the struggle. And as I always tell them, I may be at a different and our solvangala life is like a book. I will be on a different page, you will be on a different page, so there's no comparison between both internet. So my initial days were quite a struggle, because I have a daughter who's 21 and my son is 16. When I had my daughter, I was carrying and I was writing my DGO exam in Kilpak Medical College. I was 16 weeks and I went for the exam. Aduk minnadi I had an early miscarriage. So on the time period, even though I was a gynec, it was all very new. So I was a little scared in the first pregnancy after the miscarriage. So after that, I was at home. அந்த டைம் பீரியட் ஏன்னா டிஜிஓ முடித்தேன், கிளியர் பண்ணேன். So till I had Puni, I was like at home on the time period, so it was a little more settled. But after I gave birth to her, about 6 months later, I joined Dipinbi in Railway Hospital, Perambur. So that was extremely hectic because come what may, even if I have a வந்து இன்ஃபென்ட் அட் ஹோம், அவங்க நைட் எல்லாம் தூங்க மாட்டாங்க, வந்து பார்த்துக்கணும். அங்கே வந்து 8 o'clock I have to go and put my thumbprint, my fingerprint there, the biometric as such. Come what may, you're a postgraduate, you're a student. So அங்கே போகணும், படிக்கணும். நைட் ஷிஃப்ட் இருந்துச்சுன்னா நைட் டியூட்டி பார்ப்போம், அடுத்த நாள் half a day வரைக்கும் அந்த ஹோல் டே ஒர்க் பண்ணுவோம். ஸோ இட் வாஸ் 36 hour shifts. Then you come home and then you have a baby at home, so you have to take care of the baby. That was a struggle I had. Not a lot of help for Puni because my mother-in-law is a very busy lady. அவங்க வீட்டில் இருந்தாங்கன்னா அவங்க எல்லாத்தையுமே பார்த்துப்பாங்க. She is very very talented. But அவங்களோட வேலை is such that she will be behind. எங்கள் மாமனார் எங்கே போகிறாரோ ஊருக்கு போயிட்டு வந்துட்டு இருப்பாங்க. And she handles a lot of the businesses at Vilpuram on her own. So she is very busy. My mom is a busy gynec. So at that time it was my grandmother. She was the one who brought me up completely. So அவங்க வந்துட்டு ஒரு ஆட்டோ பிடிச்சி அவங்க வந்து வீட்டில் உட்காந்துருப்பாங்க. நான் வந்து ரயில்வே ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் போயிட்டு டியூட்டி முடிச்சிட்டு வர வரைக்கும் we had a small girl who was there to help. ஸோ அவங்க வந்து உட்காந்துருப்பாங்க அவளை பார்த்துக்கிறதுக்கு. எப்படியோ ஐ திங்க் அப்புறம் ஏஜென்சிலேருந்து ஐ ஹேட் பீப்புள் டு ஹெல்ப். யாராவது கண்காணிப்புக்கு அசோக்கோட கிராண்ட் மதர் or my grandmother was there. அதே மாதிரி ஓடிச்சு. ஸோ இட் வாஸ் லைக் டிஃபிகல்ட் ஜர்னி I will say. So when I tell these young girls also, I will say responsibility considerably increases. If you think நான் வந்து இப்போதான் வந்து முடித்தேன், எனக்கு நிறைய டைம் வந்து எனக்கு டைமே இல்லைன்னு சொல்லவே சொல்லாதீங்க. Once after marriage, your responsibility increases. You have one child, it's like when you have the second, you will realize that ஒரு child இருந்த போது எனக்கு நிறைய டைம் இருந்திருக்குமோ அப்படின்ட்டுங்கிற மாதிரி தான். So Siga வந்து when I had him, there was a 5-year gap. So I had started my private practice by then in my mom's hospital-லியே பின்னாடி ஒரு சின்ன பில்டிங் எடுத்து ஒரு ஸ்பெஷாலிட்டி கிளினிக்னு ஆரம்பித்தோம். பிகாஸ் மை ஸ்டைல் ஆஃப் ப்ராக்டிஸ் இஸ் கம்ப்ளீட்லி டிஃப்ரெண்ட் ஃப்ரம் மை மதர்ஸ். அது ரெண்டும் ஜெல் ஆகாது. ஸோ அகெயின் வந்துட்டு அங்கே ஆரம்பித்தோம். ஸோ till 36 weeks I was working for Siga. And then at that time we had a scan done and they said that கொஞ்சம் mildly growth restriction இருக்கு, கொஞ்சம் baby low birth weight இருக்குன்னு. அப்போ மட்டும்தான் they made me sit at home for the next 2 weeks. Till then I was like, it was erratic. காலையில் எந்திரிப்பேன், ஹாஸ்பிட்டல் போவேன், கண்ட நேரத்துக்கும் 4 o'clock lunch, dinner at 11 o'clock. I never bothered about that pregnancy. I was just going on and with my usual work. But after I had him, it was considerably more difficult because again ஒரு few months, ஒரு 4 months இருக்கும் போது I had a caretaker who came and she stayed with us nearly till 11 years. So அவங்க வந்து ஒரு middle age lady, பொறுப்பா அவங்க மட்டும் பார்த்துக்கிறதுக்குங்கிறதுனால with him I was a little more settled. But even otherwise அதே மாதிரி தான் காலையில் I used to go to the gym at 5:30 to 6:30. Sometimes cook இல்லைன்னா பொன்னிக்கு வந்து சமைக்கிறதுக்கு I'll even get up sometimes by 4:45, make something for her, put it on the stove, then I will go to the gym, come எந்திரிச்சு இவங்களை குளிப்பாட்டி வெளியில் அனுப்பு, அவனை குளிப்பாட்டி வெளியில் அனுப்பு, ஸ்கூலில் வந்து பஸ்ல போய் விடு. So I don't know how I managed. Now looking back on those days, it is just a blur because I was building a career. I had 2 children. I had a person at home, but I was always sure I'm going to be a hands-on mom. It's not as if I will just delegate responsibility and go. I've always tried to be there for them for the important school functions, their sports meets. We take off, we make sure we go there. My husband is also a very involved parent in that. Just that everyday parenting, he's not much part of it, I will say, but he's always he spends a lot of time with the children. I would say he's opposite to me, meaning I'm the workaholic in the family. So he's more laid back and he's always made sure he's at home more அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி whenever the kids are there. So I think that's a balance. It always helps to have someone like this and someone like that.
Beautiful. So I mean that's definitely a long journey and டக்குனு கண்ணை அமைக்கிறதுக்குள்ள சொல்லி முடிச்சிட்டீங்க. But I know there are a lot of challenges and struggles. But நீங்க சொன்னபோது you mentioned 6 months அப்போ I think you had to leave your daughter and go. இப்போ இருக்கிற நிறைய பேர் வந்து நிறைய women என்ன நினைக்கிறாங்க or என்ன சொசைட்டி அவங்க மேலே திணிக்கிறாங்க அப்படின்னா you have a kid, take a break. Or there's a lot of arguments. Okay, குழந்தை வந்துருச்சுன்னா நீங்கள் அதை விட்டுருங்க. Did you face anything like that? Number 1. Number 2, இப்போ இருக்கிறவங்களுக்கு அந்த மாதிரியான இதுக்குள்ளே தள்ளுறவங்களுக்கு நீங்கள் என்ன, what do you think you have to tell them?
I would say everyone is different, frankly speaking, and you have to do what you think is best for you. For me, I was ready to tear my hair out by the time Pony was 6 months old. I am not a person who's happy sitting at home. I am just not cut out to be just at home. I love cooking, I love being at home, looking after, having a beautiful home, all that. But it is not what I want to do in my heart. There are people who want to be at home, make sure they are very much there when on hand parent and do everything themselves till the kid is a little bit grown up. So அந்த மாதிரி இருக்கவங்களுக்கு definitely it makes sense. Take a break if your career allows for it, and if you don't think that taking a break will give you a sort of நீங்க back seat எடுக்கணும் திரும்ப போகும்போது உங்களுக்கு you will be at a disadvantage இல்லைன்னா, then that is the best thing I would say, because our kids definitely, if we could do it all backward, it would be good. Be with them when they are small, and then when they grow up, rather they don't need you around that much. They have their own things to do, they have their friends, and then they're not going to be spending much time with you. If we could do it that way, and at that time வந்து நம்ம careerல வந்து நம்ம concentrate பண்ணோம்னா, that is ideal. But we don't live in an ideal world, and not everyone is the same, as I said. So எனக்கு வந்துட்டு few months I was at home. அப்பதான் I had finished my post graduation. I was just raring to go. I wanted to again study and get started on anything. I didn't want to wait, and all that frustration will build up, and I'll show it on my husband when he's coming home at the end of the day, because he was also doing his pediatrics, and we got married young relatively for doctors. I was 24 and he was 26. So again, இப்போ இருக்க பசங்க அந்த மாதிரி அவ்வளவு சீக்கிரம் கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்கிறது இல்ல, பட் அந்த டைம்ல that itself is like a big thing அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரின்னு. So we did it all very young, I will say. It was a struggle, but on the time period Ashok was the one who pushed me. He said, see, if you keep sitting at home, you will not find a solution, and you're also getting frustrated. நீ போய் join பண்ணு, ஏதோ ஒன்று நடக்கதா செய்யும்ட்டுன்னு. So it is a compromise you make, and I will say there is no doubt about it. If you decide to focus on your career, there's a little bit of a compromise at home. You can't do it all, and you can't do it all well. But you have to decide, is it safe? I need someone safe for my children. That comes first and foremost. If I have that, நான் இருக்கிற மாதிரி நான் பார்த்துக்கிற மாதிரி வேற யாரும் பார்த்துக்க முடியாதுன்னு நினச்சோன்னா, we have to only parent, no doubt about it. If we are willing to give that responsibility to someone who we feel will take care of them well, then we could do, but it will be a little bit of a compromise, but it's something you have got to live with.
Super. So நம்ம வந்து குழந்தைய விட்டுட்டு போறதுக்கு ரெடியா இருந்தா we can do it ன்னு சொல்றீங்க. Definitely there are a lot of motherhood does that, but they also come back with a lot of guilt in them, right? So the mom's guilt ங்கிறது, it is something that is huge for a lot of
it's
mothers.
Universal.
It is universal.
You can't do without it. The minute you decide to leave home, you leave your kid, mom's guilt will always be there, because that's the way we are wired. ஒரு ஃபாதர் வந்து வேலைக்கு போறாங்க, விட்டுட்டு போறாங்கன்னு that connection you have with the child will always be different. We are built that way. Over so many millions of years, we have evolved as the homemakers, carers, nurturers in the relationship. Yes, we are now வந்து all fieldsக்கு போறோம் பண்றோம்னு, but it doesn't change overnight. No, our brains are made that way. இப்போ even though we want the husband to take responsibility, முக்காவாசி women நீங்க வேணா பாருங்க, they will not be happy with the way they do things. அவங்க வந்து they are ready to do, and they do also. அவங்க பண்ணதோட இது பண்ணு, இப்படி பண்ணு, நீ செஞ்சது சரியில்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு அந்த மாதிரி நம்மளுக்கு பிடிக்காது. பிகாஸ் ஐ திங்க் வந்து we are wanting things to be a little too perfect, and இப்படிதான் இருக்கணும், என் சைல்டுக்கு நான் இப்படிதான் செய்யணும்னு சொல்லிட்டு we set a lot of expectations on ourselves, and then society also places a lot of those expectations on the mother's head and never on the father's head, இல்லையா? But that's the way it has been for people. It has been for hundreds and hundreds of years. and now things are changing slowly, but it's not going to change overnight. Mom's guilt will always be there. You decide to leave your child to another person, and the initial time periodல அப்படிதான். இப்பெல்லாம் கேமரா இருக்கு, போட்டு பார்க்குறாங்க, அங்கே போய் என்ன இருக்கு, சிசிடிவி என்ன நடக்குது வைக்குதுன்ட்டுன்னு. அந்த டைம் பீரியட்லலாம் என்ன இருந்தது? ஒன்றும் இல்லை இல்லையா? யூ ஹாவ் டு டூ இட் ஆன் அ ஃபெய்த். அண்ட் பிகாஸ் ஐ லிவ்ட் இன் அ ஜாயிண்ட் ஃபேமிலி, ஐ நியூ யாராவது பெரியவங்க இருப்பாங்க, பார்த்துப்பாங்கன்னு. ஐயோ குழந்தை ஒழுங்காக சாப்பிட்டுச்சா, அதுக்காக ஐ வில் நாட் கீப் காலிங் அண்ட் மைக்ரோ மேனேஜிங் எவ்ரி திங். That is again going to be a little bit of irritation to the person you're leaving them to, இல்லை? As if அதனால வந்துட்டு அவங்க சாப்பிட்டாங்களா, அவங்க இது பண்ணாங்களா, அவங்க அழுதாங்களா, இவங்க விழுந்தாங்களா, இந்த மாதிரி நம்ம கேட்டுக்கிட்டே இருந்தோம்னா ஒன்று அவங்களுக்கும் கஷ்டம், and then you're going to drive yourself nuts, I would say, நினைக்கிறேன். So mom's guilt, it comes with the territory. You can't do anything, but again that is something we learn to deal with, accept, and then once we know that the child is doing well, and long term we are not, I don't think, doing any serious damage to them. And then, but having said that, safety comes first. If there is someone who's really reliable, responsible for childcare, that will come first and foremost. Illati, that compromise is not something we should make. In today's day and world, I think it is very scary to just leave the child like that without the proper person illama vidit poradhu is definitely not advisable, because we are hearing so many things which we didn't have to face back in those days, I would say.
True. So mom's guilt வந்து it is like you have to live with it அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி ஆயிருச்சு.
Yes, I would say, because எனக்கும் இருந்துச்சு. ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் போகும்போது ஐயோ நான் போறேனே, என் குழந்தை என்ன பண்ணும் அப்படின்னு இருந்தது. பட் there are different things warring within you, இல்லை? Your emotions as a mother, but you have worked very hard to get where you are in a certain way, like you have gone through med school and then வந்து பிஜி, அடுத்து வந்து எங்களுக்குலாம் வந்துட்டு அந்த டைம் நான் வந்துட்டு போய் at a push நான் என் போஸ்ட் கிராஜுவேஷன் முடிக்கலைன்னா then I wouldn't have been able to complete it. It's not as if I can take a breather, 4-5 வருஷம் கழிச்சு நான் திரும்ப வந்து போஸ்ட் கிராட் பண்ணலாங்கிறது. It's not possible in my field as such. Yes, I can start my practice maybe a little later, but அந்த படிப்புங்கிறது I have to finish in that certain period of time. Otherwise I would never finish it at all, Ilya. So that was very important to me too. So that's why I'm saying, who are you as a person? What do you want from your life? Not everyone has to be a career woman, go earn. Yes, financial independence is important. That gives you a certain sense of security and feeling more settled and more options and things like that. But you have to figure out what is important to you and try to strike a balance. It may not always be equal, I will say, but again, it is possible.
Okay, so அதோட in line with that question, so உங்களோட பசங்க உங்களை எப்படி பார்க்குறாங்க? You're a self-made person, and you know, because there are mompreneurs with just toddlers. Say for example, I have a 2-year-old son. So நான் வந்து ஃபியூச்சரில் அவனுக்கு ஒரு 18 வயசு ஆகும்போது அவன் வந்து என்னை வந்து பெருசாக பார்ப்பான். அதுக்காக தான் யூனோ he will see me as an inspiration. அதுக்காக இவ்வளோ பண்ணுறேங்கிற ஒரு ஃபீல் எப்போதுமே அந்த மதருக்குள்ளே இருக்கும். You have already come to that stage. So how are your kids seeing you?
For me, that has never been my thought. You are saying, Ella, because how will my kids see me in future? Because it's not only if I'm a self-made professional, if I'm earning well, appa mattumna en children enna vandittu they will look up to me. So later that thought has never entered my head. If it was a mother who's staying at home, spending all her time looking after them, yes, after a certain stage avungalukulla vandittu once they don't need them that more, and ஒரு vacuum ஏற்படுது. That is what is difficult for those kind of mothers, I will say, because the children don't need them that much. But even that அவங்க எப்படி வளர்த்திருக்காங்களோ, how they have parented, even if they were stay at home mothers, I'm sure they will look up to them. So that is never a motivation. It is only, I would say, what you want to do. நான் வந்து எங்கள் அம்மா வந்து I have my parents, as I said, at that time we didn't have much. They had to support big families on both sides, and they were working day to night. Sometimes அந்த டைம் என்னை கிளினிக்கு கூட்டிகிட்டு போயிருக்காங்க, அங்கே தான் உட்காந்துருப்பேன். அவங்க வீட்டுக்கு 11 மணி 11:30 மணி வரவும் தான் நான் பார்ப்பேன். Full and full I was brought up by my grandmother, my father's mother, who used to live with us. But again வந்துட்டு I have never felt that way about my parents. எங்கள் அம்மா எங்க இல்லை, என்னோட வந்து ஒரு ப்ரோக்ராம் கூட வந்தது இல்லை, ஸ்கூல் மீட்க்கு வந்ததில்லை, எனக்கு எக்ஸாம் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு கூட தெரியாது. They were not hands-on parents at all, but I have never felt that sort of அவங்க எனக்கு வந்து they didn't parent well. They did the best they could, and then I had my grandmother who was always there for me. So I had a very happy childhood, and the days they could spend with us, which was half a day on Sunday or just taking a vacation, summer vacation once a year. So those days they used to really make sure they gave us time, and it was happy times. I felt I have never felt any amount of blame or what to say, misgivings that they were not there with me and the childhood or something like that. Likewise for my kids, I always have told them, see, this is my passion. They know how I do it with a lot of passion. It's never a job for me, so they know I would not be happy sitting at home and just doing this. I would drive them nuts, and then I would drive myself crazy too, which is not going. And end of the day, I think you should be happy inside to be a good parent. Whether you want to stay at home and be happy, or if doing something else you like doing gives you that happiness, only if you are truly happy, you're going to be able to really do a good job at home also and at work also. Illati I am forced to sit at home. இவங்களுக்காக என்னதான் நான் நல்லா பார்த்துக்கிட்டாலும் உள்ளுக்குள்ள அந்த resentment build-up ஆயிட்டே இருக்கும்ல. That should not be there.
To the kids only.
At some point அப்புறம் எப்படி வரும், and then நான் இவ்வளோ உனக்காக sacrifice பண்ணேன், ஆனா நீ வந்து அதை வந்துட்டு பண்ணலன்னு we try to put that on them இல்ல. But that is not their fault. It is a decision we made, இல்லையா? So always you should, அதனால்தான் you should listen to what your inner voice is telling you and do what you feel is best in the long run, not depending on what the children will think in the future. That has never been a factor in my decision, I should say. It is always what I wanted to do, and I think I would do well, and I have tried to strike a balance. And they know anything. My daughter had to join she joined fashion design at Singapore. So அந்த டைம் பீரியட்ல தான் கோவிட் இருந்தது. சிங்கப்பூர் had one of the strictest quarantine regulations for COVID, as you know. So it was a lot of hassle to go in. So அந்த இடத்துல போய் அவளை காலேஜ்ல ஜாயின் பண்ணி விடணும். Suddenly she decided overnight, வேற வழி கிடையாது, I'm not taking a gap year, நான் போறேன், நீ வந்தா வா, இல்லாட்டி நான் வந்துட்டு சாச்சின்னு her roommate, அவளோட ஸ்கூல் மேட் was her going to be her roommate there, அவங்க அம்மா வராங்க, நான் அவங்களோட போறேன்ட்டுன்னு. I was really shell shocked because that meant 3 weeks வந்துட்டு we had to quarantine, 2 weeks away from India. So 3 weeks நாங்க துபாயில இருக்கணும். அங்க போய் நாங்க சிங்கப்பூர்ல 10 days strict hotel quarantine, meaning you can't step out of the door also once they lock you inside that hotel room. அதுல இருக்கணும். And then I had to set her up in a house and come. So that was 6 weeks break, which was unimaginable for me at that time, because வந்துட்டு அது வரைக்கும் நான் அவ்வளோ பிரேக் எடுத்ததே கிடையாது. என்னோட மெட்டர்னிட்டிக்கு அப்புறம் நான் அதுக்கப்புறம் அவ்வளோ லீவ் எடுத்ததே கிடையாது லைஃப் டைமில். But then end of the day I said no, this comes first, the career is always next. அவங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது ஒண்ணுன்னா that comes first. As a mother, that is my duty first and foremost. After all, இப்போ yes, my patients depend on me, but நான் டெலிவரி பார்க்கலன்னா இன்னொரு டாக்டர் நல்லா பார்க்கலாம். If I don't look after my child, no one else is going to go and do that for me. So I just did do that in a week. I had to make a lot of arrangements. Then I was blessed to have another gynec who had just joined us, equally experienced at that time. So Anala, I just left all the patients to her. I said, I'm going. I can't do anything about this. Is it? This is the situation. I was working all through COVID. We had more than 100 deliveries conducted in COVID at all. So I have done my bit. But this comes first. My daughter needs me in Solita. I took that break, went, and I think it was one of the really good times we spent together, because we were 3 moms, leaving 3 daughters. So we had a blast, I would say. 3 weeks we were staying in service apartment in Dubai. We had a blast, I should say.
Nice, so beautiful. So it depends on the situation. There are times motherhood comes first.
Yes, motherhood will always come first, because as I said, no matter, my patients depend on me, they want me there for the delivery. I can't be there 24/7. It's not possible, humanly possible. And நான் எப்படி parentingக்கு சொன்னேனோ, as a doctor, to do justice to my patients, I need my breaks away from the hospital. There are days when I feel very overwhelmed, and you know there are physician burnouts and there are health workers, எல்லாருக்குமே வந்து they face burnouts at some point or the other. We need short spans of time when we are not thinking and not being responsible always 24/7 to stay sane, I would say. So I need those breaks away, but I always make sure there is some other equally qualified, experienced person who is going to handle them, and that they know that too. Because first வந்தோன்னா அதான் கேட்பாங்க, நீங்கள் தான் எடுத்தீங்களா டெலிவரிக்கு? I said it's not humanly possible. I may be sick, I may be traveling, I may be on leave, but we'll always make sure one of us are there. And so obstetrics is like team workங்கிற மாதிரி தான் இப்படி ஆயிடுச்சு. One person can't do it all or can't do it all well without ultimately spoiling their own health, I would say.
Absolutely agreed. I think for any service industry that is applicable, and it is more of our responsibility to leave them to the responsible team. Yeah,
yes.
That's beautifully said. There are also women out there who thinks they are very very ambitious, சூப்பரா வந்து entrepreneurship பண்ணிட்டு இருப்பாங்க, நல்லா சக்ஸஸ்ஃபுல்லாக போயிட்டுருக்கும். இப்போ நடுவில் நான் வந்து குழந்தை பெற்றுக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னா எனக்கு அது வந்து கெரியர் பிரேக் ஆயிரும். ஸோ எனக்கு அதனால ஐ கெட் ஆங்ஷியஸ் அப்படின்ட்டு நிறைய பேர் இருக்காங்க. ஆர் எவ்வளோ நாளில் நான் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ண முடியும் திருப்பி? 1 month பிரேக்னா பரவாயில்ல, 6 months பிரேக்லாம் என்னால் எடுக்க முடியாது. ஸோ இந்த மாதிரி மைண்ட் செட்டில் இருக்கிற அந்த மாதிரி விமன் ஆண்டர்ப்ரனர்ஸ் who are getting into mompreneurs, அவங்களுக்கு what would be your advice?
Depends on their business, Ilya, because as I said, in profession was like I at least had to finish my post-graduation, to be fair. Illati, I could have started my practice, I could have made that as a choice if I had finished my post-graduation, but I couldn't take that break because it doesn't work that way in my field. But if you had the opportunity to, இப்போ ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள் இப்போல்லாம் முன்னாடி இருந்ததும் எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது இன்ஜினியரிங் மெடிசன் தவிர வேறு லைஃப்பில் என்னன்னே தெரியாது. Now there are so many options you can do sitting at home. And then you can, இப்போ home bakers இருக்கட்டும், photographers like you, there are creative fieldல there are so many things you can do. Arts and crafts எவ்வளோ பேர் வித்துறாங்க, வீட்டில் இருந்தே செஞ்சு ஆன்லைனில் they are selling as such, and then they're doing online clothing stores, and so many things are coming up, and we see so many things on Instagram. So Instagram is not always bad, it can be used for the good also, and to discover like talents and new people like these and give opportunities to them. So அந்த மாதிரி if you had an opportunity to postpone starting your business, then that would be best, because women want to do it all, but sadly our bodies don't, and that brief they have not yet got, our ovaries have not yet got that cue that we want to really postpone childbearing internal, so they remain the same as they were since we evolved, and we are born with all the number of eggs we will ever have. And if you're going to postpone childbearing, compared to the men, we are disadvantaged there. And sometimes if your quantity of eggs and the quality of eggs is going to reduce as we age, that is a given. The only thing we can't reverse is we can't turn back time. So when you are deciding about getting married, first and foremost you have to find a good partner. அது வந்து goes without saying. சும்மா ஒரு கல்யாணம் ஒரு வயசாச்சுங்கிறதுக்காக கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்க முடியாது. You have to find the right partner to spend the rest of your life with. That will impact, of course, it's a huge decision both for the man as well as the woman. But கல்யாணம் பண்ணும்போது பேசிக்கோங்க, how many children do you want? You want one or do you want two? What do you see for yourself in your future? Those are important decisions to make. Or you don't want kids at all. There are couples nowadays who have made that conscious choice not to have kids at all, and they want only pets, or they don't want even pets up the internet. That is a decision. If both of them are like compatible with that, then that is of course a personal choice they make. But when you want to have children and you can't have children, it is really heartbreaking. That is the journey, and which no one, I really would not want to see them on, because as someone who treats fertility, I see far too much the trials and the struggles women go through to have a child, and it can be heartbreaking. I don't want someone to go through that, and that's why I would say think about all these things, because நம்ம வேணுங்கும் போது கல்யாணம் பண்ணிக்கலாம், வேணுங்கும் போது குழந்தை பெற்றுக்கலாங்கிறது it may not be physically possible always. So if you have made a decision to postpone childbearing வேணான்ட்டுனா, at least get tested. Test your husband for his sperm counts. Test your ovarian reserve. Get a simple ultrasound done. It is so cheap and easily accessible in a country like ours. We don't live abroad where it is much more difficult and much more expensive. Check பண்ணிட்டு எப்படி இருக்குன்னு தெரிஞ்சிட்டு எல்லாம் நல்லா இருக்குன்னா make a conscious informed choice to wait and then revisit that on a yearly basis. This is something I keep saying over and over because I can't stress it enough. And even last week, a few days ago, I had a patient who actually came and she said, "Ninga sonninga unga reels la adnal I decided to check my AMH and ovarian reserve and it was on the lesser side." Because what does that mean? It means you have a little less, so it is not a great idea to postpone childbearing. And if you're seriously in a position where you cannot have children, then you may have to think about even options like freezing for future internal. Because again, those are important decisions to take, and it is you should know your choices and then make that decision.
Okay. So now that I delivered a baby, how long should I take a break? Is it depending on the body or இல்ல கண்டிப்பா இவ்வளவு நாள் பிரேக் இருக்கணும் அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது இருக்கா?
I know doctors who have gone back to work 2 weeks after giving birth, and I know people who have decided to just be konja calm, settle down, find a person for the child and then go back after a year or two. So again, it's a personal choice. நம்ம ஃபினான்ஷியலாக earn பண்ணியே ஆகணுமா ஃபேமிலி நடத்துறதுக்கு? பிகாஸ் இட்ஸ் காஸ்ட் ஆஃப் லிவிங் இஸ் ஸோ ஹை nowadays that single income families is a little difficult, and everyone wants to give the best to their child, and sometimes they don't understand it is not only material possessions but it is rather the quality of time we spend with them. The initial phase, it takes at least 2 months for you to heal mentally, physically from the childbirth. கம் டு அன் அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்டிங். குழந்தை என்ன வந்து எதுக்கு அழுது, எதை அழுதலை, எதுக்கு எப்போ பால் கொடுக்கணும், கொடுக்க வேணாம், எல்லாம் நம்மளுக்கு புரியறதுக்கே தெரியறதுக்கே 2 வாரம் ஆகிடு போயிடுது இல்லையா? தட் போஸ்ட்மார்ட்டம் ஃபேஸ் ஃபார் யுவர் பாடி டு சார்ட் ஆஃப் நாட் கெட் பேக் டு நார்மல், ஃபார் யூ டு ரெக்கவர் ஃப்ரம் ஆல் த ட்ரையல்ஸ் ஆஃப் சைல்ட் பர்த்தே ஒரு 6 weeks ஆகிடுது. Literally it takes the first year to slowly come back to your feet. Before then, when you take something on extra, it is definitely going to be a challenge for you. Because as I said, na panna enda, but that doesn't mean that it was ideal. I mean that was not an ideal situation, leaving a few months old and going back to work, trying to do it all internal. It can be extremely strenuous, especially if you do not have support at home to do the household work. Illati, you're doing mothering, you're doing the household work, and you're doing a career full-time job ultimately what will suffer will be your health and not only your physical health, your mental health, your emotional health, everything will take a beating, and then that will impact your relationships at home, and it is like that or mari dominoes effect ஒவ்வொன்னா வந்துட்டு will be compromising. If you are able to spend the initial 6 months breastfeeding, bonding with the baby, making sure everything's okay, finding a good caretaker, getting on your feet, leaving the baby to someone would be much better. Because newborns the human species they are one of the most helpless among the young, and very they don't know to do anything. In that sense they are useless. ஏன்னா இப்பெல்லாம் நம்ம பார்க்கறோம்ல, animals when they give birth literally they get up and start walking in some time, it's like minutes, but newborns are not like that. We have held them inside us for 9 months and they remain attached to us in some form. They think that we are one unit. They don't know that they are separate from their mother. They think they are one unit still attached to us. For the initial few months at least, it is good to give that time if you are able to. That is ideal. But if you are not able to, you have invested a lot in yourself, education wise, taken loans, you have loans to repay or anything. Again, at least take those 3 months to settle down, sort of. That is the minimum period you could give yourself, I feel, before really taking on anything too much.
Okay. So if we have the liberty, we can take it.
Yes, but not everyone has that, sadly speaking, and they have strict maternity breaks. And then, as I said, if you are your own boss, then that is different. You can decide what you want to do. And but again, when you're working somewhere, you have these maternity breaks only for a set amount of time, and then again you may be laid off. We don't know what is the company policy, and all those decisions do factor in. It's easy for me to say because I could do what I wanted to do and I was never in a situation where I had to necessarily earn to run my family. What I do out of passion, and I'm very, very driven. I'm one type A personality, that's me, but I don't have that extra pressure of being responsible for paying loans and so many things for the family to run depending on me. But a lot of women don't have that advantage, they don't have that privilege. So அதனால அது அவங்க செய்யறது தப்புன்னு சொல்லிட்டு சொல்ல மாட்டேன். பட் அல்டிமேட்லி அவங்களோட ஹெல்த் இதில் கொஞ்சம் அஃபெக்ட் ஆகதான் செய்யும். பேபி அஃபெக்ட் ஆகுமா? எஸ், இனிஷியலி 6 months அட்லீஸ்ட் நம்ம பிரெஸ்ட் ஃபீடிங்க்கு கொஞ்சம் காமான என்விரான்மெண்ட் and we are taking that time to recover, rest. Breastfeeding is also good, but adukkaga there are so many mothers who I mean, even as a gynecologist I can advise exclusive breastfeeding, but breastfeeding is a very difficult journey. It doesn't come naturally to everyone, I would say, and I fed both my babies for about 3 months or so. அதுக்கப்புறம் வந்துட்டு ஐ வாஸ் ரைட் ஃப்ரம் த பிகினிங் ஃபார்முலாவும் கொடுத்துட்டு பிரெஸ்ட் மில்க்கும் தான் கொடுத்துட்டு இருந்தேன். முன்னாடி ஐ ஹேட் நோ க்ளூ ஹவு பீப்புள் ஆர் ஏபிள் டு ஃபீட் ஃபார் 2 years ஆர் சம்திங் லைக் தட். இல்லை, தட் இஸ் அ பர்சனல் சாய்ஸ் அகேன் தே மேக். இஃப் தே ஆர் ஏபிள் டு டூ இட், குட் ஃபார் தெம். அதர்வைஸ் there is too much of you see, no mother is a bad mother as such. Yes, I can't say 100%, but mostly I would say 99% internal. But you do what you feel is best for yourself and your baby, and don't idha correct. Exclusive breastfeeding is good for the baby, but அதனால பண்ண முடியலையா, I'm a bad mom அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு we tend to take a lot of self blame as women upon ourselves, which men never do. There's a lot of difference between how men think and women think ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு நினைக்கிறேன். We are too hard on ourselves. And yes, and additionally society places a lot of other expectations on us which they don't on men. But again, நம்மளே நம்ம மேல வந்துட்டு நிறைய எக்ஸ்பெக்டேஷன்ஸ் வச்சுக்கிறோங்கிறது தான் உண்மை.
பட் ஆல்சோ இப்போ இருக்கிற இந்த எரால வந்து there are too many information out there on Instagram, and that is also making people அந்த செல்ஃப் பிளேம்குள்ளே போகிறது நிறைய. ஸோ இந்த இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் கன்சியூம் பண்ணுறது அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு விஷயம் எஸ்பெஷலி ஃபார் மதர்ஸ், வாட் வுட் பி யுவர் அட்வைஸ் ஃபார் தெம்? லைக் லெஃப்ட், ரைட் அண்ட் சென்டர், இங்கே ஒரு பேஜில் ஒன்று சொன்னாங்கன்னா இன்னொரு பேஜில் இன்னொன்று சொல்லுவாங்க, இன்னொரு பேஜில் இன்னொன்று சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ எல்லாத்தையும் அவங்க கன்சியூம் பண்ணிவிட்டு அது வந்து ரொம்ப டூ மச் ஆஃப் ஓவர்வெல்மிங் இன்ஃபர்மேஷனாக இருக்கு இல்லையா? ஸோ இனிஷியலாக ஆஸ் அ மதர், டு அ நியூ மதர், வாட் வுட் பி யுவர் அட்வைஸ்?
I would say don't get your information from social media. That's what I would say. Attend a class if you want to. Go to a professional. If your hospital is offering pregnancy preparation, birthing classes, lactation support classes, if it's by qualified professionals or not someone who just has attended an online course themselves and have got a certification saying that they are trained professionals ne irka kudadu. Do they have experience? அதெல்லாம் தெரிஞ்சுட்டு ஃப்ரம் த ரைட் சோர்ஸ் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் வருதான்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்த்துக்கோங்க. கெட் அவேர், கெட் எஜுகேட்டட், தட் இஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் இன் டுடேஸ் வேர்ல்ட். முன்னாடி காலத்துலலாம் வந்துட்டு என்னது ப்ரெக்னன்சி பர்திங் கிளாஸஸா இல்லாட்டி தாய்ப்பால் கொடுக்கறதுக்கு கிளாஸான்னு சொல்லிட்டுன்னு அவங்களுக்கு அந்த ஜெனரேஷனுக்கு இதை பார்த்தா நம்மளை பார்த்தா வந்துட்டு ரொம்ப வித்தியாசமாக தெரியும். ஐம் ஷுவர்ன்ட்டு இதுக்கெல்லாம் கூட கிளாஸ் வச்சுருப்பாங்களா? இட் ஆல் கம்ஸ் நேச்சுரலி. நோ, இட் டசன்ட் கம் நேச்சுரலி anymore. Times have changed, and likewise bodies have changed, and conditions, our environment has changed. So likewise வந்துட்டு need has also changed. பட் அகெயின் அவங்க சொல்றது தப்பு இல்லை, அவங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சது அவ்வளோதான். தேர் எக்ஸ்போஷர் வாஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட், அண்ட் நம்ம இருக்கிற லைஃப் ஸ்டைல் அண்ட் நம்ம இருக்க எக்ஸ்போஷர் டிஃப்ரெண்ட். ஸோ கெட் த ரைட் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் ஃப்ரம் த ரைட் பீப்புள். ஈவன் இஃப் யூர் ஃபாலோயிங் சம்மன் ஆன் சோஷியல் மீடியா, ஆர் தே குவாலிஃபைட் டு டாக் அபவுட் இட்? Because again, நீங்க டாக்டர்னு போடுறாங்க, they may not even be medical professionals as such இல்லையா? They may be I have nothing against either naturopathy or homeopathy, பட் அவங்க இப்போ லைக்வைஸ் இப்போ எனக்கு அதை பற்றி தெரியாது, எனக்கு ஆயுர்வேதா தெரியாது, சித்தா தெரியாது, ஹோமியோபதி தெரியாது இல்லையா? So I will not comment upon it. There may be people who are good in it, I have nothing against them. பட் அந்த ஃபீல்ட்லேயும் அவங்க கரெக்டான இது பேசுகிறாங்களா? இப்போ அவங்க ஃபீல்ட்லேருந்து இப்போ மெடிக்கல் அட்வைஸ் கொடுத்தாங்கன்னா தென் ஐ திங்க் தட்ஸ் நாட் ரைட். ஜஸ்ட் லைக் I am trained in allopathy, I shouldn't be going and talking homeopathy unless I know something about it. So just make sure that they are talking what they are qualified to talk about, be it a doctor also. Because sometimes I have seen certain doctors even who are qualified professionals, they are not always giving out the right advice. So I'm not going to say choose someone you trust who's educated, qualified to talk about it, or go online onto all these societies are there இல்லையா உங்களுக்கு வந்துட்டு to get your information you have things like the CDC or the WHO, or you have these big even in our obstetric societies வந்துட்டு RCOG websites இருக்கு, ACOG websites இருக்கு, ICOG websites இருக்கு. ஸோ அந்த மாதிரி ஏதாவது ஒரு கரெக்டான சோர்ஸ்லேருந்து உங்கள் இன்ஃபர்மேஷன் வருதா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு பார்த்துக்கோங்க. பிளைண்டாக எதையும் வந்துட்டு நம்பாமல் ஓகே உடனே இவங்க இப்படி சொன்னாங்களோ வந்து அப்படி பண்ணணும், இன்னொருத்தங்க அப்படி சொன்னாங்களோ அது பண்ண தப்பு உடனே மாற்றணும் சொல்லிட்டு ஜுவல்ஸ் டோன்ட் கீப் கோயிங் லைக் பேக் அண்ட் ஃபோர்த் அண்ட் டிரைவிங் யுவர் செல்ஃப் கிரேசின்னு சொல்வேன்.
Super. So actually, நான் கன்சீவாக இருக்கும்போது the first thing that I did, I unfollowed all the profiles.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to listen and meet my doctor. So அந்த மாதிரி வந்து there are too many noises out there, and it is very very difficult for a common man to distinguish. So அதுக்கு rather அவங்களோட பேக் ஹிஸ்ட்ரி போய் பார்க்கறதுக்கு better we unfollow, so that we are safe. நம்மளே சேஃப் பண்ணிக்கிறதுக்கு that was very.
Find a doctor you trust, and as you said, listen to them. நான் கூகுள் பண்ண வேணாம்னு சொல்ல மாட்டேன். Because யாரும் கேட்க போறது இல்ல. First thing they do is they will go onto Google before they come to you, but it just drives up your anxiety no end as such. வந்தோடனே எனக்கு இந்த ப்ராப்ளம் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் வேர்டு அவங்களுக்கு ஏதாவது ஒரு பிரச்சனைனா கேன்சர் தான் வரப்போகுது. அதுல எனிதிங் இல்ல ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஆன் தி ஹிட்ல வந்துட்டு கேன்சர் தான் வரப்போகுது. எதுக்குமா இவ்வளவு டென்ஷன் ஆறேன்னு சொன்னா they go on and they just start getting very anxious and stressed out. It's not going to help you at all. Google can give you 1000 different things, because உங்களுக்கு இருக்கிறது அதே கண்டிஷனே ஒவ்வொருத்தையும் டிஃப்ரெண்டா தான் அஃபெக்ட் பண்ண போகுது இல்லையா. It's not one size fits at all. Each person is a different human being altogether. அப்படி இருக்கும்போது நீங்க சும்மா அதை பார்த்துட்டு பயந்துட்டு தேவையில்லாம டென்ஷன் ஆயிட்டு இருக்கிறதோட உங்களுக்கு என்ன கண்டிஷன், உங்களுக்கு என்ன சிவியரிட்டி, அதுக்கேற்ற ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் என்ன, அந்த மாதிரி கொடுத்துடுறதுங்கிறது பெட்டர்ன்னு நினைப்பேன்.
Beautiful. So இப்போ நம்ம again Instagram பத்தி பேசிட்டு இருக்கோம், and your journey on the social media platform. So you have created a very strong personal brand. நிறைய doctors don't do that. And also there are two sides of it. One, personal brand, spreading, educating. Of course you're burning a lot of myths, okay, and நிறைய creative-ஆ கொடுக்கிறது, exactly reaching the audience. It's so beautiful. And also the marketing side of it, okay. So how do you balance it and how do you see it?
Actually, I didn't get on to Instagram for marketing to be and even not for branding. எனக்கு வந்துட்டு பர்சனல் பிராண்டிங்னா என்னன்னு கூட பெருசாக தெரியாது வந்துட்டு அந்த டைம். இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்னு ஒன்று இருக்கு அப்படின்னது my daughter told me, so I went on to it. I was following a few pages. I just started recording content with my phone at home, and I was posting it on that page. And then suddenly இன்னொருத்தங்க வந்து ஹெல்ப் பண்ணாங்க to set it up as a professional public page. And then Srinivasan, I think almost right from the beginning, or a few months in and he's been there. So he was giving ideas. But see, this is all content comes from what the patients ask me. So again, day in and day out, when you have been doing this for the past 20 years, and these are the repeated questions women have, and this is what they are being told of being a mother, that is where the content comes from. That's what you're trying to do, and educate a lot of people about it. And so and at some point in time, I'm a person who talks well in person to the patients also. That connect is always there, and just like I talk to them in person is what I do on screen also. I don't have a different persona there and different here. I don't do anything scripted. அவங்க ஏதாவது எழுதி கொடுத்தா கூட வராது, எனக்கு அந்த மாதிரி பேச வராது. எனக்கு விட்டுணும், my free flow of thoughts and words is what will come out. So that's the way I am. So that's why patients are happy, because as you said, that later only I felt that it could be okay. Through Instagram you're reaching many people ingradhu one more than what you would be reaching in person as such. So let everyone benefit. But again, through Instagram people are coming to you because they feel that when they come to you, they already have that connect with you, they know you அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி sort of. And then end of the day they are happy when they know that நீங்க இன்ஸ்டாகிராம்ல எப்படி பேசுனீங்களோ அதே மாதிரி தான் நேர்லயும் பேசுறீங்க அப்படின்ட்டு. ஸோ அந்த ரியலா இருக்கணுங்கிறது முக்கியம்னு நினைக்கிறேன். Because some people, they may be talking few things online, But when you actually, they may not have all that experience when you go to them in person. They could be just doing it on social media. They may not be practicing professionally and serious. So there are so many things. So end of the day, I will say, don't trust social media. Even if I have a good reputation, I would say that don't trust these Google reviews and all that. Maybe it helps you find a doctor, but when you go to a doctor, see how you feel with them. How are they talking to you? Are they qualified? Qualification is important, experience is important. How are they as a person? Are they able to connect with you? Are they understanding what you want? And the time, patience, empathy, caring, all that is very important and equally important as your experience, I would say. So see how you feel and go with that. Because Google reviews, na satyama poi paathathu kadayadu. Only negative reviews hospital patti edha vanda, I will respond to that. Because end of the day, நம்ம எவ்வளோ பேர் ஹாப்பியா இருந்தா போய் ஒரு ரிவ்யூ எழுதுறோம். Hardly 1% of us. இதே இது செம்ம கடுப்பேத்துனாங்க யாராவது ஒருத்தங்கன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, நான் போய் எழுதுறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு போய் வந்து ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நெகட்டிவ் ரிவ்யூ போடுவோம் இல்லையா? So that's how the human mind works. Lot of patients may tell me in person நிறையன்னு. I don't tell உடனே வந்துட்டு போய் நீங்க ரிவ்யூ எழுதுங்க அப்படின்னு சொல்ல போறது இல்லை. So again வந்துட்டு I don't think it gives you a very real view of things sometimes, and online things can always be manipulated in today's day and age. யார் வேணா போய் ரிவ்யூ அவங்களே வந்துட்டு செல்ஃபா போட்டுக்கலாம் வச்சுக்கலாம். So end of the day that helps you find a person maybe, but blind-ஆ அதை வந்து போய் ஃபாலோ பண்ணாம see how you feel when you actually go and how they treat you in person. That's more important.
Super, very well said. Again, Instagram பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் இப்போ வந்து பீயிங் அ கான்டென்ட் கிரியேட்டர், அதுதான் அவங்களோட வேலையை. ஒரு இன்ஃப்ளூயன்சர் அப்படின்னா தட் இஸ் தேர் ஜாப். ஸோ இட் இஸ் ஈஸி ஃபார் தெம் டு டூ இட். பட் நான் ஒரு ஆண்டர்ப்ரூனரா இல்லைன்னா நான் என்னோட ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ்க்கு டீச் பண்ணும்போது ஐ ஆல்வேஸ் டெல் தெம் கம் ஆன் இன்ஸ்டாகிராம், மேக் மோர் கான்டென்ட். பிகாஸ் ஒரு குட் ஆர்டிஸ்ட் வந்து தே ஷுட் டூ கான்டென்ட் ஸோ தட் பீப்புள் டோன்ட் கெட் மிஸ்லீடட் டு அ பேட் ஆர்டிஸ்ட். ஸோ அதே தான் நான் டாக்டரா அப்படி தான் நானும் இதையும் பார்க்குறேன். அண்ட் ஆல்சோ it is at the end of the day, it is also a form of marketing.
Yes.
But ஒரு content creator இருந்து அது பண்றது is definitely easy. But having so many things, உங்களுக்கு how do you manage that? And உங்களுக்கு அந்த burn out இருந்திருக்கா? So அந்த burn out நீங்க எப்படி you still push that?
Burn out இருந்தா I would not do it. Because this is not, I don't earn anything out of Instagram, I don't do paid collaborations, though I get multiple requests as such, because I am a very very busy professional. I'm happily settled in my career, I'm earning out of my career. Instagram at this point in time, that may change maybe as times go by. Maybe I don't know, if this gets too much, I may become a full-time content creator. Who knows what the future holds? I don't know. But at this point in time, I love my profession. I love what I do, and that comes first, and I earn out of that. So I'm not looking at Instagram as my source of income, and that gives me a lot of freedom to do what I want straight away, because I have never gone by the number of patients I see, number of surgeries, number of deliveries I do, and the numbers don't count for me. And likewise, I really do not focus too much on these number of likes or shares or number of followers and the madrin solite. I am on Instagram and social media because I love what I do. எனக்கு வந்து, as I said, I read a lot, and I know that people don't always have time to read and do things. I write a lot. I used to write a lot. So, and even now I'm almost in the process of completing a book I have written as such. That is a passion for me. And in the madri, it is allowing me to discover a new side of myself, knowing that I'm creative and I like this side of myself, and that's why I'm nurturing it, I will say. The minute it feels too much, that I have to really push and force myself to shoot content, I always have the freedom to stop. It doesn't matter to me at all. But this is something I like doing, so always that difference is there. When you're trying too hard, oh, avanga vandanga, avanga ipdi pannanga, ivungalukku innum vandu jaasti aite podhu, நம்ம என்ன தப்பா பண்றோம், இந்த மாதிரிலாம் யோசனை பண்ண ஆரம்பிச்சா, then that puts a lot of pressure on me. That pressure is not there because I don't see it like that. I see it as something I do for myself rather than others. So that's what I think is the difference as far as I am concerned. And one more thing actually which you said was very true about Instagram வந்து, because நானும் நிறைய அதுதான் சொல்வேன், lot of doctors, இவங்க ஒரு டாக்டருக்கு இவ்வளோ ஃபாலோயிங் இருந்தால் அவங்க பெஸ்ட் டாக்டர்னு தயவு செய்து நினச்சிடாதீங்க, even on social media, because there are a lot of doctors out there who are doing excellent work and they are not even on social media and so they don't have to be on social media, they don't have to be on television necessarily to be a good person in their field. And that's one of the reasons also I said, so many people are saying so many things, marketing themselves, and you know that they are not doing such a great job in you know that you're doing good and you are very patient centric, you're doing a good job, so why not put yourself forward, make yourself seen? So I think that's also one reason other people, if you feel that you're really good at your work, and this is the way people discover you, right? Whether they want you want to convert them as clients doesn't matter, but you're doing good, make it known, put yourself out there, so that makes you get seen also, I guess.
Right. So நிறைய இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் பற்றி பேசிட்டோம். Again coming back to very close to my own experience, I want to ask one question to you. So நீங்கள் ஸ்டார்டிங்லேயே சொன்னீங்க ஹார்ட் பீட் இல்லாமல் போன பேபி டக்குன்னு டீல் பண்ணுவோம், and then மிஸ்கேரேஜஸ் டீல் பண்ணுவோம், இமீடியட்டாக நெக்ஸ்ட் பேஷண்ட் வரும்போது we will have to smile because it is a positive. So on the other side, when there is a loss or when there is a miscarriage, do you have a system for the patients where you support them emotionally?
You mean in the space of mental health kahalia?
Yeah.
We offer, but they are not always ready to take it at that point. Grief has to have some time to set in, and the first thing which comes in any loss is anger, and acceptance takes some time. So ideally you have to give the patient some time to settle in, because they can't make sense of why this has happened to them. Why is going to be their first question. Why me? I did everything right. Why me? So ideally, even if I'm going to have a psychiatrist talk to them about grief counseling, and I have offered, they may not be in the space of mind to take it right away. And you have to give them space, respect their choices, and give that option when they feel ready for it, I would say. There are psychiatrists available, and I have said this has happened, can you go and talk to the person in the inpatient room? But I would say it's too raw. The wound is too raw. You have to have some time before you want to really sort of try to pick it and see if it will heal. It will take time. And sometimes, of course, see, a loss is a loss. It doesn't matter what stage it happened, whether it happened in the first trimester, the second, third, after the baby was born, when the child was a few years old. That loss is something which is going to stay with you forever. The grief may fade, but it never completely goes away.
ஏன்னா அப்ராட்லலாம் பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா கீப் சேக்ஸ்ன்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ்லேயே வந்துட்டு தே ஹேவ் அ லாட் ஆஃப் திங்ஸ். பட் இங்கே இந்தியாவில் இட் இஸ் நாட் சம்திங் தட் இஸ் வெரி ப்ரிடாமினன்ட், பிகாஸ் சின்ஸ் ஐ வென்ட் த்ரூ லாஸ் ஐ கைண்ட் ஆஃப் நோ நிறைய ரிசர்ச்லாம் பண்ணதில்லை. இங்கே எங்கேயுமே ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸில் அந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு கல்ச்சர் சுத்தமாக இல்லை, அந்த மாதிரி ஒரு சிஸ்டம் இல்லை. வாட் டு யூ திங்க் குட் பி த ரீசன் ஃபார் தட்?
Because we don't know about it, I would say. There are certain things we don't know about it. It's not as if someone was aware of it and put it forth to me. I'm always open to new ideas and asking them what would happen. It is not done out of unkindness. I would say it is done mostly because of ignorance of what is really going through the person's mind at that time, that they would have a little bit of the child to keep with them forever அப்படின்ட்டுன்னு. But these are things thankfully that we don't see happening that often. And இங்கே நம்ம ஊரை பொறுத்த அளவுக்கு முக்காவாசி பேர், அட்லீஸ்ட் whom I have dealt with, don't ask for anything like that. Even the attenders are like, they want them to forget it. Even though it is impossible, let her not have a valid reminder. There are patients who have asked whether they can take a photograph. I've said, of course, it's your wish, it's your baby, so again, you're welcome to. But again, அது எப்படி ஒவ்வொரு சிலருக்கு இட் இஸ் ஓகே, ஒரு சிலருக்கு இட் கேன் பி அ கான்ஸ்டன்ட் ட்ரிகர் விச் நெவர் அலவ்ஸ் தெம் டு ஹீல் சார்ட் ஆஃப். அண்ட் ஒரு ஸ்டில் பர்த் ஆயிருக்குன்னா ஹவு த பேபி லுக்ஸ் அட் தட் பாயிண்ட் இன் டைம்னு இட்ஸ் நாட் ஆல்வேஸ் கோயிங் டு பி லுக்கிங் லைக் அ பேபி. ஸோ ஆல் தோஸ் ஃபேக்டர்ஸ் கம் இன் டு பிளே. பட் the thing is, if someone had asked me Can I keep this? Can you do this? Can you give me a bit of the umbilical cord, for example, or the hair, or a footprint, or things like that, or a palm print, something like that? Then I'm definitely going to oblige. I'm not going to say no. But most often, at least in our society, as far as I have seen,